All of us have kind of dealt with mental health issues, but I don't want Creeper to be seen as a band that like kind of focus on are miserable and that's what our band's about. Our band is about dealing with those problems and trying to be hopeful, really, I suppose. In amongst all these sad songs, the whole idea is that when we're together in a room and the crowd is moving in the same way as the band are, and it's that special moment you only get at punk shows. Those moments are when we're all dealing with that together. Even though our slogan is "Misery never goes out of style," I don't want anyone to think that we like encourage focusing on that. Like I think it's really important that there is a message of hope with this, and that's what we're trying to inspire every time we go do anything with Creeper. Creeper. Because we played in another band before this that never had any attention, we toured on it for years. No one ever heard it. But Creeper immediately garnered a lot of attention really, really quickly. It was really bizarre how it happens, and we've been kind of counting our blessings ever since.
Me and Will have been playing music together for a long, long time. The first band we were in together was called Tight Like Strings. It was when we were teenagers. And then I joined Our Time Down Here. I think it was 2007, 2008, just shortly after he joined, because he joined that band. They had a singer before, and we knew each other and we knew how we write together. So as soon as me and him both joined that band, it completely changed. We ended up writing the way we write together, and from that, my point of entry, the music started shifting, because it started off as it was like a hardcore band, like a youth crew band.
I feel like we've been on quite a journey together, me and Ian. We've got some stories. We've been touring together since we were about, I think we were 18 when we first started touring. We just have been doing that ever since. We sofa surfed and lived on floors together, lived in his mum's shed in her back garden for a while in her council house back at home, and wrote a record for our old band in that shed. Ian, it wasn't even like a shed that's built to be like a house. We had like an extension lead from the house, like a plug, and we used to just thread that outside and have one of those little oil radiators, and we just lived out there for a bit.
When that band started progressing, me and Will started writing more, and the older writing members started sort of stepping back a little bit, and it just slowly started falling apart, that band, because we were touring for like 7 years, and we ended up playing to like nobody for that amount of time. The only ever sold out shows we did were on our last tour, and we were touring for a long, long time. Basically, the other guys in the band got quite old and they wanted to settle down, and it was, I remember the practice actually. Our guitarist, the one and only original member, turned around and said, "I think I'm gonna have to pack this in." And I started crying because I didn't know what to do. Like, when you're in a band and you're doing this over and over and over again, that's just your life. And I felt like my personality had just been sort of stripped out of me, because that was my personality, you know? I was the guy in the band. Well, we were the guys in a band. And I turned around to Will, and I had like tears in my eyes, and I said, "Dude, are we gonna carry on writing music?" And he goes, "Yeah, don't worry about this. Don't worry about this."
But when we're writing together for Creeper or for anything, it's a really special kind of magic, and I think that that's what I like about Creeper the most. I think it is a feeling to what we're doing, rather than just having to sit down and having to write the songs. We kind of love doing it, and we kind of bounce off each other. He can play something, and he'll know what I need him to change before I even suggested it. It's really unique, and I've never met someone I've had kind of I can have a conversation with without really speaking to him. You know, it's bizarre, and we're on the same page with our vision all the time. Like in visuals as well, movies, we share a very similar taste, and he has, I think we're made up of a lot of the same sort of parts, but kind of different at the same time. Like, we always talk about how flamboyant Creeper has become, being a mixture of, Ian was really into Metallica, and so there's really overblown kind of stage shows that they would do, and those big rock shows, that always kind of appealed to him. And for me, it was David Bowie. I grew up with the glam rock and the like Roxy Music and things that my dad listened to. So I think the kind of more bombastic elements of those artists are quite comparable, and so we've ended up with this kind of weird mix of all of that together now.
It was going to be like dark wave. It was going to be like a like a dark sort of dancey project. But then when we wrote it, it just naturally went to where Creeper is. Actually, Lie Awake, this is a little fact, Lie Awake we wrote for the follow-up to Midnight Mass for Our Time Down Here. So that wasn't even a Creeper song, that was a Our Time Down Here song.
I've been very lucky to have met someone like Ian. Before I'd met him, I didn't really know what I was doing with writing, but Ian never patronised me or made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing. There's some really magical moments, and when you can kind of bottle those and put them into a song, they're my favourite things about being in this band. Just that little kind of couple of seconds of like real world magic, you know, and that's kind of the crux of my relationship with Ian.
Me and Will, we were brought up on very different music from like an early age, because my dad was a biker and he got me into like Sabbath and Metallica and like Judas Priest and Venom and stuff like that. And then I went into Misfits through Metallica because I did the Garage Inc. and they did a couple of Misfits covers, and then I like 360'd like over to punk rock. And Will did the opposite. He was into like Bowie and stuff like that, and then he got into punk through that, and then we kind of met at like a little apex, and we bonded over Misfits. That was like the first band we really bonded over.
What you might not expect about Creeper is that we're very influenced by Jim Steinman. He's an artist who wrote for Meatloaf. He wrote all the Meatloaf songs. We found Jim Steinman had written these songs and found a lot of the records that we were very fond of had some input by him as well. His solo record, Bad for Good, is another one that we're really interested in. And it's kind of the ambition and kind of the Phil Spector-ish levels of production on his records, something that we're very interested in, and we try and thread into our punk songs a little bit. As far as like our aesthetic goes, David Bowie was my hero growing up, because I was a skinny, effeminate kid, and David Bowie was a skinny, arty, effeminate guy as well. So as far as our actual aesthetic goes and what we wear, it all comes from those things, like from Davey Havok and Matt Skiba, that were two artists that I loved growing up. But I loved them because I heard the David Bowie and their music and the kind of flamboyance from the music that my dad was showing me when I was a kid, and it seemed like those were like modern day incarnations of a David Bowie. Like, I feel like we're a mishmash, a hodgepodge, and a lot of different pastiches of a lot of things we love and have made up our character. And yeah, I think we wear that on our sleeve very, very literally in the way we look as well. You know, you could interpret us looking like a number of different people. Some people would say we look like My Chemical Romance. Some people say we look like AFI. We get everything all the time, and we're quite happy with that because we love all of those bands.
When we started, we were only going to play a couple shows. We basically got a handful of people in Southampton that all play music, and we make loads of different bands and just swap the members around. So we've all been in a bunch of different bands, released a demo, played a couple shows, split up. And that's been like a cycle for years and years and years. Even when we were in Our Time Down Here, we were doing that. So we thought we were going to record the first EP, the self-titled EP, put it on the internet for free, play a couple shows, and okay, that'll be it. We just quit.
I didn't want to have the band kind of jump the gun and release a full length straight away, because we hadn't gone through the same kind of growing and teething pains that you need to do as a band, I think. So we kept it to EPs to make sure we could kind of mature the sound a little bit, and we kind of have. Each one is quite different to the last. With an EP, you can be far more flexible with it, and it's 5 songs. Like, putting them next to each other is a lot easier. I felt like it was a good way of kind of working our footing out and seeing what we were about and seeing what we could do. And I'm really glad we did it, because I think if we had committed on one thing really early on and done a whole album of it, it would have been the wrong thing to do.
Then we announced the Joiners thing, and it sold out straight away. Didn't expect it. We didn't even want to do a headline show. It was our mate Ricky Bates, the promoter. He was like, you need to headline. And we were like, no, that seems really arrogant. We want to be a supporting band, you know? Like, that's how people do it. And then we did it, and it sold out. And then we announced the London show, and it sold out. And then we basically just said, we'd be idiots to not carry on with this. Like, not many people can do that. So, yeah, we just carried on, and it's just, I don't know, we're really lucky. Things have just happened. We don't know what's happened. I guess I don't know. The only thing I can think of is just being at the right place at the right time, and having really good people work for us.
As far as like when an album will come, we record in secret. We never put any social media posts out about recording. I think that in 2016, it's like, it sucks when bands do that. I don't want to see, there's so much social media as it is, but I think there's some things that should be sacred. And when those records I've been talking about, the David Bowie records, you know, and all those amazing like T-Rex records and all those things that exist in a space that's not stapled in by a year. You wouldn't want to see those records being recorded, because then, you know, like, you could put that, you have that image in your head of the singer singing them or the guitarist playing them. Especially these days when everyone's sat in front of a computer in Logic, it's just strips it of all the magic. And the whole idea about Creeper was we played in hardcore bands that were really straight up before we'd been in bands that the whole UK music scene is about stripping things back and making it more aggressive and more straight up and in your face. The whole idea for us about Creeper originally was that we wanted to do something with the more frills added again. I want to make more of a show of it, so we don't talk about the records. If we were making it, we could have made a record already, but no one would know. And I like it better that way. I think it makes it so when you press play and when it finally arrives, it will arrive one day out of nowhere, hopefully. And when it does arrive, you can press play and you'll have no preconceived notions of what you're about to listen to. And hopefully, like, the idea is that you press play and you can exist in that place for a little while and escape there. That's what we try to do with our records, because that's what our favourite records did for us when we were kids.